Hello and welcome to the Kinocast. Today we're talking about Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. Joining me and Nicholas today are Alex and Brendan, and we're going to talk about a really good movie and a really bad movie. So I figured we'd start with the really good one and talk about Suicide Squad 2016.
Yeah, we're going to start with award-winning Suicide Squad. Only one of these films has won an Academy Award.
Yep, only one has won an Oscar. So I'm sorry, we should from now on differentiate them as Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad
and Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad. Yeah.
It's the official categorization.
Oh god, I rewatched that just this morning, and that movie is so painfully dull.
So
we are, for the record, talking about Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad.
Yes, we are talking about the Oscar award-winning Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
We have a new arrival.
Your name is Letters?
Everybody's name is Letters. I'll pop off my arms right now.
You'll be fit to carry my javelin. 8 out of 10, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ruben, for giving your quick score. So this is actually my fourth time seeing what David Ayer describes as a soulful drama, or at least that was his original vision. And I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it once after it came on DVD, and then I watched it once this week because
it's actually a good question.
I liked that movie.
You like
and it's not really something
I want to say that I've changed my opinion on you, but not really. That's about what it was.
Yeah. So here's why I liked that movie is because I was like in the theater experience, I had a lot of fun and I was so blinded by how perfectly it adapted some of the characters. Like, because I love the Suicide Squad. It's literally the thing that got me into comics, but the modern New 52 Suicide Squad, which is technically not really anything to write home about. But it's really what Ayer was most closely adapting. Yeah. And the characters, a lot of the characters were really accurate. A lot of the costumes were super on point. So I didn't really care. I thought it was fun, and I wasn't really looking at it critically at all, which I did when I watched it this time. And I'm like, okay, this is actually a really bad movie. Because I used to say, like, it's actually pretty good up until the third act. No, it's not. The whole thing is bad. It had things that I was just really, really overlooking. So I still enjoy it as a mess and disaster, but it's not a good movie. I know that now.
So the first thing that I want to bring up, which this is relevant given new things that I've been seeing coming out of the script of the Ayer cut, that being, why does Batman confront a parent and child in an alley to take a parent away from a child? That is not something that Batman does.
It's symbolic. Because his parents taken away in the alley. It's
also
it's a visual metaphor.
The original dialogue for it is a real banger. It's Batman straight up says, "Look at your daughter. Her hair's going to be gray the next time you see her."
Fuck. Does that imply Deadshot's going to live till like at least 90 or 100, by the way?
Really doesn't seem to have a good grasp on math, but
Is he telling Deadshot that he expects him to have a very long life expectancy? Because like to see your own daughter get grey hair, you'd have to be like, how old is? Let's assume Deadshot is as old as Will Smith when that film came out, right? Let's assume he's meant to be the same age. How old is Will Smith? This man is 52 years old now, so he was like 45 when that film came out.
Yeah, let's also keep in mind that it takes...
His daughter has to be 70.
It also takes
about
5 times as much time for a comic book character to age. So Deadshot will be about 500 by the time his daughter is anything close.
So when he sees... If we assume like her hair's going to start graying at about the age of like, what, 70?
Yeah.
This man is going to be... somewhere in the region of 120 the next time he sees her, apparently.
Like, and 70? I don't know about you, Alex, but like, I already got grays back here.
That's a you problem.
Yeah, that's true. It's more like 40s. 40s or 50s, probably.
When you know, but like gray, like completely gray hair?
Maybe 50s.
Maybe 50s at the earliest, surely.
I don't know.
The point is, it's a long lifespan. Floyd Lawton has, apparently, according to Batman's calculations.
Why are we focusing on Deadshot when we could be talking about the most important character in Suicide Squad? Slipknot.
Captain Boomerang.
Slipknot, the man who can climb anything.
Okay,
I think it's incredible that Slipknot is, by the way...
Here's something really fun, is that I'd like to say this, is that I didn't know this until like 2 weeks ago when I was just, my bi-weekly trip to the Captain Boomerang Wikipedia page, reading his plot summary is something I apparently just missed during the 50 other times I've read that article, is that Slipknot scene is directly from the Ostrander comics with Slipknot. Like that's his thing. Like, so Slipknot is there on his first mission and Boomerang tricks him. Boomerang wants to test the system, so he tricks him into getting blown up. So it's
and
like
then you chose to adapt nothing else from Ostrander.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. He names the federal building after him, and that's about it. So that was really funny to me. That was like a direct pull from the comics. But
what I think is kind of what occurred to me is like being kind of wild when I watched Suicide Squad. Can you think of any other like First Nations or Native American actor who's appeared in a major like superhero film besides the guy who plays Slipknot? Because I can't.
He died immediately.
He dies immediately, like, oh.
And he doesn't get a cool intro and title card.
No,
like
he gets nothing. He turns up, he dies. That's it. There's
Hawkeye's not out yet. But when it is, then Maya Lopez will come for your
That's
nuts.
true, she is. But is her actor? No, her actor isn't she?
Yeah,
I'm
pretty sure she's
her actor is. Okay, well, this statement won't be true at that point, but I'm pretty sure I can't think of anyone.
At the time the movie came out.
Even
now, I can't name you a First Nations or Native American character. Off the top of my head.
Apache Chief from the Super Friends.
I said movies.
Yeah, that's it.
They're probably in TV shows somewhere.
Well, look, if you have Slipknot
anyway.
as your major form of representation, then you're golden. There's no one better in Suicide Squad. The soulful rendition of his performance, I don't know.
I can't get over the fact after seeing this interview where Ayer calls his original vision for this movie a soulful drama. I want to see that more than I've ever wanted to see anything in my entire life. It sounds terrible.
The funny thing is, soul versus soulless is occurring in my head right now.
You want to release the Ayer cut? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean,
I'm not saying
that I really believe it exists, because I don't. But yes, I would.
We know you have a great track record on that.
Hang on.
Shut up.
Taylor and I have had these arguments several times. Just because rough cuts exist, it doesn't mean that they should be released.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, like everybody's been posting that picture of Will Smith and Margot Robbie making out. Yeah, no.
Oh, wait, is that a thing?
That's a thing.
There's a picture from that cut where those two get together.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, I had a dream.
I didn't see
this is relevant. I haven't mentioned this to anyone yet. 2 or 3 nights ago, I don't know why. I dreamt that they made a TV live action follow up to Suicide Squad that was actually really good. Joaquin Phoenix was in it as the Joker at one point, and Slipknot came back via time travel. Yes, it was the greatest. It was
did that much effort to bring back Slipknot of all people.
I woke up disappointed.
The thing in his deck was a temporal explosive.
Yeah,
it explodes you into the future, and then
I can't remember anything else except Slipknot turning up and actually being cool and being like, "Whoa!"
But yeah, no,
Slipknot cool.
I think honestly, there's a couple impressive things in this movie, and it's Captain Boomerang is the only role that Jai Courtney has ever been good in.
The only good role this man has ever been cast in, and it was Suicide Squad 2016 and Captain Boomerang. Who would have ever thought?
He doesn't get enough time either.
The casting in the film is pretty good for the
really good.
The casting is good. The only issue is El Diablo and Waylon both become literal like caricatures and stereotypes.
So that's an issue I have with this movie a lot, actually. I have that issue with Deadshot. Because
why does Wayland ask for BET?
BET at the end of the movie. Why does he ask for BET?
What even is that? I'm not even sure I understood that.
It's the Black Entertainment
Television.
Television.
He did what?
Yeah.
When he said that, I assumed I misheard something about like asking for a TV because in the next scene he has a television.
He does to watch BET.
No, he specifically says like, "I want BET," and that voice I just did isn't racist. The voice Ayer makes him do in the movie is racist.
It's a goddamn minstrel show with scales.
Take that out of context. But yeah, it's really bad. So Ayer does this thing with Deadshot. I've told some of you this before, but what I really noticed this time is like, and he does this with all of his characters, but the thing is, all of his ethnic characters. But Deadshot, like Floyd Lawton, is a white guy in the comics, and they cast Will Smith to play Deadshot in the movie, who is black, which is fine. Race does not matter for Deadshot. But the thing is, he talks in this, like, for lack of a better word, what I've been saying is he talks in this, like, aggressively urban way that Floyd Lawton does not talk in. And he only talks this way because, he's black now. He's being played by a black character. So he has to, like, talk like this, like, played-up stereotype. And it, like, the way he's dressed in that flashback scene and, rap coming on every single time.
So,
like,
I will say...
On one hand, I get that. On the other hand, some of this could actually legitimately have been Will Smith. Because if you ever watched...
That's true.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in the outfit suit...
Yeah.
He's funny.
It's a
I will say, the one cool... maybe the best scene in the movie that actually does work pretty well is Deadshot at the rifle range while Black Skinhead plays. That's actually pretty good.
No,
it might be scene in the entire movie.
But this is like I said to Taylor. There's a lot of stuff here that feels like a 13-year-old boy's idea, like of something. Like Deadshot is a 13-year-old boy's idea of a cool black dude. Harley Quinn is like a 13-year-old boy's like idea of a hot quote unquote slut, for like lack of a better term,
No, she looks like the...
It's like the whole daddy's little monster thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There is a
like,
great...
and
if you want any comparison of anything, just look at how she was written by a middle-aged guy who's not a good writer, and then how she was written by a woman, and then how she was written by a middle-aged guy that is a good writer.
Yeah.
I think
exactly. It's night and day. It's incredible.
There's a great comparison between Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad and Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey, which just kind of talks about, and I know some people kind of roll their eyes, but I do think it's real, the male gaze versus the female gaze, and how Harley Quinn is dressed and acts in Suicide Squad, which is she's not particularly, like, Ayer or whoever did the final edit,
trying to make his neck.
Yeah, they pretend it's kind of like, she's being used in this, and she's like damaged and stuff like that. It's like, but you're still treating the character as an object in relation to the shots and how she acts, and then you try and give her a bit of character later, but that's not how the actual film is framed. Whereas in Birds of Prey, she wears similar outfits, but the way that it's framed, the way that she performs it, and the way that it's written makes it her choice, and makes it about her and how she acts around about the people around her. And I think that's it's why I really like Birds of Prey, to a lesser extent the Suicide Squad, but this one I think doesn't really get that, which is why it frustrates me a little bit. I'm sure Ayer made a movie that he thought was very, very personal, and like I don't have an issue
soulful
with that.
Drama.
Yeah. But it bothers me that I don't know. I think some of that shit, like having read some of the script where Harley Quinn's in it, some of it still sounds like she's just as kind of like objectified and stuff like that. So I don't really.
What is up with the like weird Batman CPR scene? No one ever mentions that. Like I never see that brought up, but it feels really weird to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Why'd she make out with Batman?
That's another point that I'd like to bring up. Actually, the fact that the editing room. Because they're all this sort of like character intro cards and stuff that really, really clash with the rest of the film style. Were introduced in post because the editors were basically like, "Oh no, people don't like how dark MOS and Batman vs Superman were. We need to make it lighter." But then they throw in the bit about Harley having helped kill Robin, which wasn't meant to be there, which like completely fucks her character.
Screws up the backstory.
That's not even like David Ayer's fault. like it's just like it makes her like 10 times more horrible than she.
It makes her worse, and it also really makes you question the timeline of when events are going on.
Yeah.
No,
none of it's good.
And it's a shame because Margot Robbie does her absolute
Margot Robbie
damnedest,
is fantastic.
and she's one of the highlights of the movie. As a result, is that she herself she embodies Harley Quinn so well.
Margot Robbie is phenomenal as Harley Quinn. Yeah, in like all 3 films. Even with the like poor direction she's being given in Suicide Squad.
Poor direction.
See, here's the thing.
She still does a pretty good job of it.
I don't think that any part of her performance is good in that movie, and I'm not blaming it on her because
I get
there's 2 things. One, I think she was bad director and bad writing, but 2,
you can see she's trying.
She's trying, and she's given the time to get used to it. So by the time she gets to Birds of Prey, she had some time with the character, even though it was poorly written time, and so she was able to get into it more, I think, and be a bit more natural with it. But her voice and her performance and acting, I really don't like at all in 2016. But again, that's not her fault because she does such a good job in the other movies.
I will say because like wasn't Birds of Prey like quite a bit like wasn't Margot Robbie basically one of the I don't know what I'm thinking.
She was like an executive producer.
Yeah, like she was one of the driving factors of that film coming out.
It was I'm pretty sure she was a producer on it, and that was like a very personal piece for her.
Yeah, she was like, I want to play Harley because I like Harley, and I want to play with a film
which,
where, like,
honestly,
it's
for
a bit
better
more
or for
Harley
worse,
and
for better or for worse,
great film.
I absolutely believe that the reason the title of Birds of Prey was the way that it was when it dropped was partially because of her. Because she wanted to make a movie with. I love the original title. Like, it's advertising wise, it's a little bit bad, but I love the title.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't mind it.
Title.
I want that darn egg sandwich. I know we're not talking about that movie, but
no,
that's genuinely one of my biggest takeaways from that film. Every time I think about it, is that
good.
egg sandwich.
Oh,
Anyway, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. I think we can all agree here is fantastic, and I love her.
Even the guy playing El Diablo is pretty good. Aside from the poor writing.
That was always one of the biggest things I used to say is like El Diablo is one of the closest adapted characters, like the most accurate adapted characters in comics. Is somebody who's like read one of the only things he's really been in, which is New 52 Suicide Squad. Like he's really, really close, and he looks perfect.
Alex, did you read all of New 52?
Yeah, but I read all of New 52, so my memory is a bit sketchy. As you can imagine, I don't remember all of it to a perfect degree.
Sorry, my brain just snapped to that.
Now, in rewatching this movie,
I didn't read the Doomed miniseries by Lobdell because I didn't realize it existed, and then I never wanted to go back to it.
Yeah, who cares?
It's New 52 era Lobdell, even more specifically. So
I'm sorry, this is so far off topic, but they're releasing have released an omnibus of New 52 Lobdell, Red Hood and the Outlaws, which I just don't understand. Does anybody really want to read that?
I mean,
that's the one that no one cared about.
No, that's not quite true. Like, I think it's not a great book, but it is also quite important for Jason, just like in general.
Yeah. Okay,
like because that was. Don't forget, this was Red Hood's like first solo.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
that's fair.
And to be fair, I say first solo, only real solo because then Lobdell wrote the Rebirth version as well, which was significantly better. So
the thing. One interesting thing about this movie is that Waller has a little more. I don't know the right way to put this. So Waller in general is a very stoic, dry character, right? And in the Suicide Squad, she is very, very stoic and dry, more so than in 2016, which she is in 2016. But it's the writing Ayer gives her that makes her a little more. I don't know what the right word for it is, like sparky or something, but like when she calls El Diablo like the pyrokinetic homeboy and weird stuff
casual,
like that.
Right?
It's too
casual.
That's it. And so the funny thing is that Waller has so much more character and personality in the Suicide Squad where she's so much more dry and stoic. It's very interesting.
Yeah, which honestly, I feel like that line almost could have come across correctly if it was like CCH Pounder reading it. But
who I was originally like really mad that they didn't cast.
I know,
as
but
Waller
then,
in live action.
Viola Davis
Viola Davis killed it. Yeah,
she's one of the absolute highlights of that first movie. She is so good as Waller.
Yeah, Viola Davis again. Like the Suicide Squad has award-winning Suicide Squad has some good casting.
Yeah,
again,
because
I don't know why we casted. I don't know why they casted Cara Delevingne. That was a mistake.
That was questionable, especially because later in the movie, it's not even her voice anymore.
Isn't it?
It doesn't sound like Cara Delevingne.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have pitched it down.
In that movie was a mistake. So I mean,
that's true. I think it's really funny how both Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad have a high-profile, not tradition known for acting celebrity in them.
Yeah.
And one of them is like terrible and has a totally worthless character, and the other one is so good he got a TV show announced before the film even came out.
Well,
bless not John Cena's Peacemaker. What wonderful casting.
Let's get down to breath. Wrestling is effectively just acting.
Yeah.
Professional WWE is essentially.
I have said this as well. But you know what I mean. He's not.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. He broke the wrestler's curse.
I am. Oh, sorry. I'll wait until we get to the Suicide Squad to say that.
But yeah, no.
Well, we're getting
so bad.
It looks
like we're kind of jumping back and forth.
It looks like we're getting closer to the end of the first Suicide Squad movie. So let's wrap up.
We can just rate this movie.
Thoughts.
Oh, Katana's great. Katana's great.
She's got my back. She does nothing in this entire movie. Why is she there? Why is
Fukuhara wasted? She's so good.
There's no
I love her in The Boys.
Her being with the Suicide Squad, she does nothing.
Guys,
she has my back. I know. Her sword straps the souls.
You're missing the bigger picture. She's got his back, and she can cut all of you in half.
The sword
mowing along. And honestly, I would advise.
Her sword traps.
Also, sorry. I don't think I want to say. I do really think it's funny how they do the she was his queen. She was crazy and more fearless than him, and like 10 seconds later, she's like screaming her head off while he's like laughing maniacally as they drive into a car. Is she more fearless than him? Because that's not what you're showing me right now. You're showing me like
she uses a lot of
laughing. You're showing me guy who genuinely does not care if he dies, and you're showing me woman who's clearly scared of dying. Like I don't know if the narration bears out. Also, Jared Leto's Joker is bad.
That was sure was.
Alex, it
what's
sounds
the
to
weird
me,
voice he does?
Hang on, it sounds to me like you're disrespecting his queen.
Oh no! I have to go through some intensely
today.
Cringeworthy.
I saw a video today. I saw a video today editing in the Katana walking onto the helicopter and Rick Flag doing the lines into the Suicide Squad scene in the helicopter.
Yeah. Is this a non-spoiler?
It was really good.
Are we doing spoilers?
Oh yeah, no, it's not. It's spoiler. Yeah, we can talk about spoilers.
Okay. Spoiler warning for the Suicide Squad. I'm assuming no one cares about spoilers for Suicide Squad because it's 5 years old and it wasn't good.
Yeah. The movie's a 3 out of 10.
So
yeah,
I'd give it that
at most.
Wow.
I think it's a masterpiece, obviously, so 10 out of 10. But before, I advise everyone to watch the Folding Ideas video on the editing of Suicide Squad, because that is a perfect example of how botched together this film was in terms of its ideas, its tone, its transitions, its moment-to-moment cuts. It is a mess.
With one thing that I really want to point out is they learned all the like I will say in the creation of this, especially the editing, they learned all of the wrong lessons from, ironically enough, Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's have licensed music and have it.
Oh god, no! I said this to Taylor when I was watching it. Yeah, no, I said this to Taylor when I was watching it because I was messaging him while I was watching it, and I went, "Oh my god, we're like 4 minutes 30 seconds in this movie, and they've played 5 songs, or like 3 or 5, maybe
almost none of them
like why does Fortunate Son play for Killer Croc's intro? Why? I was like, are we in Vietnam? What's happening?
I don't think he was very fortunate, regardless of whose child he is.
I don't like. I guess it ain't no Fortunate Son can kind of apply to Killer Croc as a character, but it's not the film ever goes into that anyway.
No,
so
It's like somebody
best.
just gave the editor a note like, "Hey, put Fortunate
Cool
Son
song.
during that helicopter scene when
It
they're
ain't
going
me.
into the city,
Yeah.
because at least that makes a tiny bit of
helicopters
sense."
that crash.
It ain't
But-
me.
It ain't you.
But they were just like,
Also, I don't get why Joker.
Whoops.
Okay, there's that
I'm no
scene where
fortunate
I'm
one.
nitpicking now, but it's
It
a
ain't
decent
you.
nitpick. It's a decent
"Thank
nitpick.
you."
The scene where like Joker rescues Harley and he has the controls for the bombs, and then like they're flying away and Waller gets somebody to shoot the helicopter down. Why didn't Joker just disable everybody's bombs? Because they would probably have just killed Waller there and then, or at least he would have assumed so.
That feels like that's the part of that scene. So you know how
Problem
in the
solved.
helicopter there's like a scientist guy they clearly have kidnapped that's working with some like technology to like, you got to do the wormhole.
I am a science
It's kind of
man.
weird.
Science
Yeah.
guy.
So the science guy, that really does feel like something that was cut in editing, like because we know there was
Maybe.
supposed to be more Joker scenes. There is technically
That's
an
true.
extended cut with like 10 more minutes of Joker stuff. I haven't seen it because I
wonderful.
can't be bothered.
I watched
But
it before.
so that feels like there was probably some scenes sometimes of the Joker going and kidnapping the science guy. He was probably an actual character in this movie.
They
to a
did
very
show him
small
kidnapping
degree.
him. They did show him
Hey
kidnapping
there.
Did they? Was
Yeah.
that in
They
the
did
movie?
But like,
How are ya?
it still doesn't explain why he only deactivated her and
Yeah,
bomb.
I mean, my explanation is
Because
there
Mom's
was
gonna
probably
freak.
some explanation that was just cut from the movie.
Hunka hunka.
Maybe.
This
But
reminds
I
me-
don't know. It's dumb.
His
My
voice
favorite.
is so fucking funny.
It's terrible. It's all bad.
This
Hey
reminds
there.
me-
Everything about
Oh,
that
yeah.
is bad.
It's like he's trying to do a bad imitation of the mask.
The final thing I want to bring
Yeah.
up is that the Joker and Harley's relationship in this is oddly wholesome, which is something that
It's
I know
bad.
was made in. It was a decision that I know was made in editing, because the original
for
cut
sure.
was not the same, and then in every other movie they treat it like what it usually is, and I find that really jarring when you see a relationship that's obviously gross, but like in a screwed up psychopath way, kind of sweet. And then
It's like
it
Punch and
completely-
Julie.
Yeah, and then they completely ignore that going forward. It's kind of like I don't know. I mean, it's really DC and Warner Brothers' fault, but they really should have picked a lane and stuck with it rather than half-assing the first one and then kind
Yeah,
of
because that's
skipping all the important.
Or at
shit
least
to break up.
started in one field and then have a natural progression to another field. But
But then
I don't
again-
think anybody also wanted to see Leto's Joker again.
Yeah. But then again,
this is true.
progressing from one thing to another in a natural way is not how DC does things. Case in point, the Suicide Squad, which
I see that transition. That's
It's
a
not
good
transition.
segue.
Let's do it.
Because the
All I'm saying
Suicide
is I
Squad-
agree with Taylor. 3 out of 10.
Fair.
3 out of 10.
Nah,
It's balanced out because like everything's a 1 except the casting, which brings it up like 2
Now, the thing about the Suicide Squad is so interesting because everything about this movie is new and you don't have to watch the first one except, and I think this is pretty much the best idea they could have gone with. They keep a few of the good characters and they kind of are like, well,
Yeah.
if you've seen the first one, you get the general gist and we're going to give a quick recap in case you haven't, and then we're good. And then they just dive you right into it and then they fucking kill the best character in the fucking
killed the
2016 version.
They kill the best character in both movies. They kill the best
Okay,
fictional
my
character
God.
ever created. I goddamn love Captain Boomerang so much, and I'm so mad that
Farewell, my
they
sweet
killed him
Aussie
all.
boy.
Right at the beginning of the movie, Taylor, there was just a moment of me being like, and that's Jai Courtney's best role.
Yep.
Gone.
Yep. Just poof.
It's a good death scene.
It's not
It's
a
a good
boomerang, it's a bird. It doesn't come back. The boomerang comes back.
We could have had a Flash Rogues movie
We
with
still
Jai
can.
Courtney's
The
Captain
multiverse is a
Boomerang, which we still can because comic books they'll pull it out, and that's the only thing I'm
He's
hoping
doing
for. I'm
the
like, he
Flashpoint.
could have survived.
Woohoo.
I mean, he could have been okay.
They won't do a Rogues
Sam
movie
was still
anyway
up in the air.
because they'll never do a Rogues movie. Let's be honest. As
no,
much as
Well,
I'd love it, They're not
that's
going
why I
to.
need like a mini series on HBO. Like if they set the Flash up
Mm.
really well in the Flash movie,
I don't
and then
think
maybe
that
they
movie's
want to
gonna-
do some spin-offs.
I don't
I'll
think
be
we can do
honest,
another
just-
Flash TV show though. Can
Just
we?
take
I mean, we could, but
superior
would we?
just take superior foes of Spider-Man and just
Do it with the
make that a
Rogues.
Flash Rogues movie.
I don't
Yeah,
think- Guys,
absolutely.
guys, I'm sorry
I'd
to say
kill
this.
for that. I'd kill any one of you for that.
Yeah.
I will kill most of you for that. I'm
That-
sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
No, it's
Wait,
fine.
most?
Just like
Like,
James
try to-
Gunn.
wait, which two of us? I want to establish.
I was into it, so it's
Mo-
fine. but I was aroused. Was that not clear? Look, I'm sorry. I don't think the Flash movie is real. They're filming. I don't believe they're actually filming it.
They're filming it.
No, I don't think
right
it's
now.
not
I'm
real.
pretty sure.
I want to believe it's real for that adorable Supergirl.
It's
That's why I want to believe it's real.
Guys,
I wish they would just
they're
not cast
gaslighting
Ezra
you.
Miller as the Flash.
Guys, they're gaslighting you. This Flash movie,
They're
it
gaslighting
doesn't
us.
exist.
Hey,
It's
hey.
a cover
Didn't
for
Michael
Hitler.
Keaton come out and say something like yesterday about
Michael
being
Keaton come
Batman
out?
in it?
I mean, I'm proud of him. That's news.
I'm Batman.
The
You
news
cast
the
Gay.
news comes out. Does Michael Keaton is gay?
But okay, so one thing I want to say right off the bat is, when it comes to the Suicide Squad, tonally and messaging and everything wise, I on all levels, both physical, emotional, and ethereal, simp for Ratcatcher. Not just because I love Daniela, but because
that is
she
also part of it.
is the thematic thing that ties the movie together. And I was thinking about this earlier because they all start out in cages. They are the rats of society. Yeah, it's
Jared
but,
Leto, Joker.
but no, that's the thing is they're all a bunch of rats, and the first thing we see is 90% of this team die. They are expendable, and no one gives an absolute shit about them.
Oh, there's a thing I want to say, but I'll leave it
except for
later.
Weasel. And
Weasel
at the
died.
end of the movie, there's that whole part, my favorite line, which literally made me cry and still gets me to well up thinking about it in the theater.
I cried a little bit. I'll admit it.
Taika Waititi just going, like, rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, and if they have purpose, so can we all. And by the end of the movie, they have come together, they have broken that sort of chain, and they're doing something that they found their own purpose. And I just thought it's very surface level, but it's beautiful.
It's an incredibly beautiful bit of soundtrack as well. Radism, it's specifically called, that plays over that. It's an incredibly beautiful soundtrack that plays over thousands of rats eating a giant starfish's insides, which I think is wonderful.
One of this movie
the
does
most James Gunn thing I could think of.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about. I genuinely didn't even consciously think about how this movie technically does have, what on the surface would be a typical superhero movie, third act, giant monster action scene. But it doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't.
Because Starro was just done so well. He was set up well. He looks exactly... Because most of the time when that happens, it's like... Yeah, he's there the entire movie. Most of the time when that happens, it's just like, okay, here's some generic big blob for you to fight. But no, this was Starro. It was a giant pink and purple starfish. And that's it.
No other superhero film has had the battle won by just thousands of rats.
That's exactly it. Is DC is always a thing where whenever people think about it, it's like these are gods among men doing stuff, and gods among us. But that's the thing is like the ones who they picked. 90% of this. Well, let's see: Peacemaker, Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher. 90% of these are people that the public doesn't think about ever, which.
Harley Quinn is basically
C and D-listers and turning them into the thematic thread of the movie.
Harley Quinn is basically the only notable character of the bunch. Well, not notable like in that sense, but
Ratcatcher's a one-off villain.
Ratcatcher 2 doesn't exist.
Exactly.
We made him up.
I find it amazing that King Shark has had not one, not two, but 3 major adaptations.
King Shark Renaissance.
We have him in this movie. We're going to have him in the new Suicide Squad game. Not to mention all the animated properties. And then you've got him in fucking Harley Quinn.
And every version is different.
And Apocalypse War.
Hold on.
And Apocalypse War, lest we forget.
The CW Flash show.
Oh, yeah, great.
That too.
That one was quite a while ago, though.
He's played by, what's his name? David Hayter, so he's played by Solid Snake.
Oh, really? That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's actually played by David Hayter.
I know Apocalypse War isn't a good film, but like, it did give King Shark.
King Shark is a shark.
Yeah, King Shark
is
a shark.
a top or a bottom?
Okay, so moving on from that question immediately.
No, but I love that King Shark has had such a wide variety of adaptations.
Hold on, I can figure this out actually. His ex is John Constantine, and John Constantine is definitely a bottom. I think we can agree this. So King Shark is either the top or reverse. And Taylor wants to die.
Well, okay. One thing and this isn't the movie, but the Suicide Squad game coming out, why does he talk like a regular person? I don't like that.
I kind of find it funny.
I don't mind. It is kind of funny.
Yeah. Like he's like, it sounds to me like English is his second language, and he's like over enunciating because he's just trying to like, speak very formally.
If they do it that way, that'll be cool, and I'm on board with that. Like, I'm okay with that.
Part of me feels like he's the smart one on the team in the game,
and that would be kind of funny.
Really funny.
That would actually be pretty funny.
I guess I didn't think about it. Harley Quinn also does a King Shark that talks, relatively normally, but it's
made for comedy,
so it's possible. Yeah,
because he's like in that he's always dressed in like normal casual clothing as well.
God,
which
I
is
love that King
wonderful.
But yeah, no, King Shark.
Harley Quinn is a great show, by the way. Slide check.
So good.
Shout out.
I'm so glad Stallone played him.
Yeah,
Sam.
Although
it's not the hand part that even kills me. It's when Waller says like, yes, that is your hand, and he just gives that little nod. That's what kills me. That little nod at the end.
I find it really interesting.
That
the Suicide Squad franchise starts with a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff, and then they're like, you know what? Let's just grab the Guardians of the Galaxy guy.
Let's get the guy.
He's not working for Disney anymore. Oh, he is now. We're still doing it. Fuck it.
Yeah. And, like, really, James Gunn. James Gunn got quote unquote cancelled, and then he got fucking like a movie, a TV show out of it, and he got his old gig back.
The people who were like trying to get him taken out, like the people who were like trying to drag him down and get him fired from Disney, they look fucking stupid.
They made his celebrated
superhero movies ever made, a spin-off TV show. Now he's working for both.
I will say, it was a bold choice to make Peacemaker the American government and the villain the American government.
I think
I was surprised how overt that was as well. Actually,
wait, what?
So something fun I like is that Jotunheim, this is just like my one little thing, is that because I started reading the Ostrander comics the last couple weeks. I've just read the first couple arcs. It's really good. Jotunheim the building is in the comic. So in the very first arc, they go and fight like this kind of super team called the Jihad, which was created by a foreign country as like, okay, we're going to create this team of super terrorists that villains can come and hire to do terrorist things with full deniability.
It was the 80s.
Yeah. And so their base is Jotunheim. It's called Jotunheim. The building looks exactly the same. It's just nestled in some mountains. So this is just like this is just slapped onto an island instead of in mountains, but it looks the same. It's called Jotunheim. That was an actual really good nod to the Ostrander comics rather than just like, oh, hey, we're going to call the federal building John F. Ostrander.
Also, John Ostrander is in the
movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Is he? What? No, I didn't know that.
He's the guy who calls Savant good dog. The guy who injects the thing into his neck.
Oh,
he injects the microbomb into Savant's neck.
And he just calls him good dog.
That's cool.
Okay, also, what's his name? Got a cameo from Trauma. Why is he,
the Toxic Avenger?
Yeah.
Is he in this?
Lloyd Kaufman. He's in the movie as well. I forget where he is, but he's in the movie too.
Because I spotted the Toxic Avenger in like the credits.
Yeah.
As like, and I was like, oh, I missed that. When does he
also in the credits I also saw that they gave a thanks to NetherRealm Studios, and my brain just jumped back to the scene where Peacemaker takes the glass and just poof.
Yeah, you get that like X-ray.
It was literally an X-ray move from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is another aside, but just speaking of Toxic Avenger, I only just found out yesterday that Macon Blair is making a Toxic Avenger movie like next year or something. And that sounds really interesting to me. I'm kind of really on board with that. Who is in it? It's like Elijah Wood or something is in it, I think.
Okay.
It sounds really good.
Elijah Good.
What am I gonna say?
Something about the Suicide
So
Squad.
Oh,
yeah,
Peter,
and,
Peter Dinklage is I think
the-
Peter Dinklage is the main guy.
the lady who plays Mantis. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Pam Clementif. She's in the club scene.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's one of the dancers.
She's the girl who's dancing in the club scene.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
but
I didn't
can
notice
we
that.
talk about...
No,
No.
Nicholas, can we talk about Sean Gunn
Can we talk about
Calendar
Javelin?
Man?
I wanna
Can we
talk
talk
about
about Calendar Man for a second?
Hey, Polka Dot Man, you suck.
Oh,
Bold
God,
words
I
coming from a
love
man
that.
whose entire gimmick is just dates.
Yeah.
I like Calendar
That's
Man.
it.
Like,
I
I
said
think
so.
that's
Oh,
why
I
they,
love
I think
Calendar
that's
Man.
why they
That
picked
was-
Calendar Man.
Yeah.
Because
And that was a
he's-
really good. Again, that's how you do actual good references to the source material.
Also,
nobody, because it's not like a Star Wars.
Wait, what
Like,
did Nick
look,
wanna
it's
say?
the Star Wars guy. Stand up and clap. Nobody knows who Calendar Man is except us.
Yeah.
It's a genuinely
Okay.
good
They
little
also put
reference.
it
People
in
played
the
Arkham
name.
City.
Most
The girl
people have
who
read The
was-
Long Halloween. Most.
Well, I'm
They
talking about
also-
like people that know comics probably know Calendar Man, but
They
not the
also-
general audiences.
They
And
also
people
put
played
in the
Arkham City.
girl. They also put in the girl who was a fan made character, Kaleidoscope or whatever. She's the girl who has all the
Is
paint
that
all
who
over
that
her.
was?
That's
Okay,
who that is.
I was
yeah.
wondering. I was like, that has to be something, but I didn't know what it
Yeah,
was.
Yeah,
no,
I was
that was an overt reference to like a character who was fan made.
I literally had to check if that was Kesha.
But yeah, no.
Because I was like, did they
everybody-
just put Kesha in this
Once
movie?
again, I wish, but no, I'm waiting for her to play Dazzler. But
No. Carly Rae Jepsen's playing Dazzler. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
the casting for this movie, much like the first one, is just as good, especially because half of the big names just straight up die on the field.
It just,
Like,
Yeah, I
in the
know.
first
Yeah.
fucking scene.
Okay, so
Yeah.
did anyone feel like Idris Elba as Bloodsport was supposed to be Deadshot in the first draft of this movie?
That's not even. Yeah,
Oh,
that's not.
it
That's
absolutely
confirmed.
was.
That's
It
not
absolutely
even
was.
speculation.
Okay.
Is it?
Because
Because
what-
I thought
No,
he
what happened-
actively wanted Bloodsport.
No.
because of
What
the
happened?
weapons.
What happened was that Idris Elba, at least as far as I remember, I could be wrong, but I've read this several times. I'm pretty sure this is the case. Idris Elba was cast as a Deadshot initially, but then they basically went, well, if Will Smith does want to come back and do the character sometime, let's leave it open and cast Idris Elba as someone else who is
Good at
Close-
bang.
close enough to Deadshot's like general weapon master gimmick. So they were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, here's Bloodsport," and that's basically where that came
I
from.
mean, it just
Which is why,
Also-
like his stuff,
It's
somewhat
entirely
deliberately,
the same.
not entirely to be fair, because whereas Deadshot 2016 is like essentially a good relationship with his daughter, we open
Yeah.
up with this version of with this Bloodsport being
Fuck
like,
you!
"Fuck you, eat shit," and then immediately going, "Wait, no, I don't want her to go to prison though. That's a bit much." So like,
It's a
the
little
contrast is like very deliberate. The contrast is very deliberate, and it works.
I am reading like James Gunn said he basically wrote Bloodsport specifically for Idris Elba and
No, I
wrote
remember.
him as, and he wanted Bloodsport the entire time because he wanted like the cool weapons. and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that he
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I've read that several
Yeah.
times.
Yeah,
That-
I don't.
that-
It's a
and, yeah,
thing of
there's so
like
much.
I don't. If Will Smith, I love Deadshot, and I'm sad he's not in this movie. It's okay, but like I love the character of Deadshot, so it's like if they bring Will Smith back as Deadshot, fine. If they recast him,
don't love
I'd
him.
probably rather they do that. But
Yeah, it's
I'm
fine.
kind of fine with either. It's
Christian
not
Slater.
casting I'm over the moon about, but it's okay.
He's not very Deadshot-y.
He's not
Yeah.
very Deadshot-y. I just think a better
Oh, yeah.
writer could probably make him
Yeah.
more Deadshot.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
But-
I just feel like in the first film he's just playing like any given Will Smith action character.
Yeah,
But-
no,
like, not
100%.
Deadshot.
And Idris Elba's filling the exact same role as.
But Idris
Deadshot,
Elba's doing
as Will Smith
way
in the first
better,
movie.
and
But he's doing way
also-
better. That's
So,
it.
All of his line
Everybody in this
deliveries are
movie,
incredible.
you have. I mean, Idris Elba has also done like Fast and Furious,
he's
but you
right.
have so many esteemed actors in this
Idris
movie.
Elba
Like
in Fast and
Viola
Furious?
Davis
What?
is just
Oh, yeah,
having
shit, no, he
the
was in the
time of
spin-off.
her life doing
Yeah.
Waller.
Oh, yeah,
like
she
she's on board with this ride, and it's so good.
I love that whole bit towards the beginning when they were all sitting around in the room and they were
Oh, they
fucking
did the
having
betting pool?
they were
That's so
fucking
good.
doing a betting pool on who was going to die
Yeah.
first.
I want to
And-
give.
And it just goes into that whole like intro where the money just starts getting passed between hands and the
Yeah.
music starts playing and it's like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. This is just another day at the office.
I like Viola. I like Amanda Waller's little smile as well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the plan has got off
Okay.
without a
Perfectly.
hitch,
Can we-
essentially.
Can we talk?
Yeah,
about,
10 people have died, but that's not really an issue here because they weren't important.
Can we talk
What were you
about
gonna say,
how? Sorry, you go.
Yeah.
No, you go.
Okay.
No, I was asking you what you were going to say.
Okay, cool. Because can we talk about how Starro is the fucking victim here? How Starro
Yes,
did
no,
nothing
absolutely.
wrong.
That final line is
Starro is a victim of the American
looking
government.
up at the stars.
Just vibing.
I was
and then
happy
just
there.
kidnapped and then experimented on. Apparently, I mean,
And then Malcolm
did you
F.
get
Tucker
the
decided to
implication-
experiment on him.
Did you get the implication that Thinker, to Starro?
Did the thing? Possibly.
Because that's like what I gathered from some of.
I mean,
what?
Starro literally said had his way with me.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I
saw that as
described it
more
exactly
like
that term,
metaphorical thing than explicit.
But like, I mean, look,
I feel like
at
I
the end of the
could do
day,
that.
being imprisoned for 30 years and experimented on by Malcolm F. Tucker is not a consensual activity. Just like by definition.
Exactly.
So,
If I was
exactly.
Starro, I would also break out and kill everything. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
Exactly.
no, absolutely. Star was a very sympathetic villain for a giant.
Regardless of whether it's literal, it's definitely figurative at the very least.
Yeah.
I know that something will realistically get, but what is a technical possibility and something I want more than anything is a movie with Robert Pattinson Batman and Jarro as his sidekick. Tiny little Zorro in a jar like the comics. I want that so bad now.
The version of Starro in my head is not the version of Starro that's in this movie. I still really liked this Starro. I thought it was really well done. But I imagine my Starro is kind of in as Alex Hirsch, Bill Cipher voicing him, and especially Jarro. So I would love to.
That's why, honestly, initially I thought Taika was going to end up playing Starro.
Yeah, no, definitely. I
can
think that
see
was
it.
like the common rumor.
I thought Taika was going to play King Shark actually at first.
Yeah, that too. I heard that
because
too.
he was depressed about Akira because they fucking shelved it.
Wait, what?
They shelved his live-action Akira adaptation. So he called James Gunn like, hey, you offered me a role, is that still available? And James Gunn was like, no, but here's something. And he got Ratcatcher.
Here's a different thing.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout-out to my favorite minor character of this film.
Milton?
Javelin.
Oh.
I don't know why, I just
You
really
like Javelin. Yeah.
I really
Javelin was funny. He was funny.
He's
and
cool.
I love that he just hands the Javelin to Harley.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I've said this to, I think I've said this to everybody except Nick, to be fair. Yeah. But I would like to say it as a matter of public record. Him giving the Javelin to Harley actually makes perfect sense and isn't just a haha funny moment. Because if you think about it, her entire gig is basically being one of the world's most renowned supervillains, who is also an extremely highly talented athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
Which and it's literally why her having the Javelin works at all. Because all the action scenes with her and the Javelin. Yeah, she's a gymnast. She's like an Olympic level gymnast, much like Javelin.
Also,
and he's basically who else would he consider worthy of picking up his prized weapon? Someone on his skill level. Yeah, it makes
the only other
sense.
one who's an Olympic athlete, basically.
Yeah.
I love in the scene where she finally gets the Javelin back and starts stabbing dudes and the flowers start coming out. But I love that once she exits the palace and she walks, she calls over the cab, if you look in the background inside of the door, the flowers and shit are all still going while she's standing outside.
Yeah. That's all fun. If I have essentially just two very minor complaints about this movie, and one major complaint, that being that Captain Boomerang wasn't a part of the main team and died in the first scene.
It was a good death.
Two minor ones are. It was a good. So I'll talk about that for a quick second. It was a good death. I'm very glad that Harley and Boomer they knew each other. They recognized her, and you gave somebody to care.
Exactly.
That when he died, she was legitimately oh crap, you're dead. That
exactly.
Sucks.
That's the thing. Is regardless of the quality of Suicide Squad 2016, he's a character that for the most part they're established, they're friends. Yeah. So even if you haven't seen it before, they actually do a good job of establishing so simply with, "Hey Boomer, wow, you're in prison again."
Yeah, it's perfect. It's really perfect and natural. Even more so is her and Rick Flag being established kind of friends. They're in the whole movie together, so they don't have to have such explicit dialogue. But they, you can tell they knew each other and have a relationship,
and they have that great moment towards the end, the last time that she actually sees him, where they both just look at each other, and she's just like, "Hey."
Yeah. So my minor complaint is Harley's costume is so good in this movie, but we don't get to see it after one scene. And I really wish she could have gotten it back somehow after.
I really wanted
she rocks the dress
as well. Back. Exactly. She rocks the dress. I love that look so.
Yeah.
And I love it when she grabs the ponytails and just.
Yeah. Again, it is a good look for the rest of the movie. I just like that costume.
And it was a very nice
costume. Gotten it in the rest of the movie. The second thing is like, and this is very minor, but it's the only like narrative complaint I have is so they mention like almost offhand a couple times about how Flag and Bloodsport know each other because they served together in the special service, and I think that's nice to have them not antagonistic towards each other, like even though he's the team leader and he's a prisoner, it's nice to have that where they don't hate each other, because that's the typical thing, that's Flag and Deadshot in the first movie. We don't need that again. And you have like that scene in the bar where they're just palling around and laughing.
That is one of my favorite scenes in that movie. It's really nice to just have people having fun and being friends.
Yeah. I just feel like that relationship between them was just mentioned a couple times, just enough, but not quite enough for me. Like, I wish that was fleshed out a little more, because they didn't do anything with it other than get somebody else to care when he died. They didn't really do anything with the fact that they knew each other. So that was a slight disappointment for me, but it's not a big deal.
I
love when Peacemaker's like, "Hey lady, you forgot the rat."
There's
like when they're at the bar.
Yeah.
God, Peacemaker
was good.
So one thing that I really like, so according to what I've been able to gather from interviews, the way that they basically did Peacemaker was James Gunn told John Cena to not read any Peacemaker content, which normally I am a guy who's like, that's the first sign of bad in comic book movie. But but that's the thing, is James Gunn has a good enough idea of who Peacemaker is as a character, both DC and Charlton wise, to actually be able to direct him, but also to allow John Cena his own interpretation, so that way you have those two ideas going back and forth. It makes for a really, really well done character and an absolute son of a bitch. And I'm so glad that he was. As I said on Twitter at one point, he is basically a Starship Troopers character from the movie, stripped out of Starship Troopers and thrown in with an entire group of people who are not in on the joke.
I'm just very excited that Vigilante is going to be showing up in the
show. So excited for that. Yeah.
Excited. What I love is that when John Cena said he would like to play Captain America a little while back, I was like, no. But you know what he would be good as?
Walker.
US agent. He could play a sick US agent. Yeah. And then I got him as Peacemaker, which is actually better. And,
exactly.
And close to what I wanted, but even more so.
It actively made John Walker and Falcon and the Winter Soldier seem not as good, because it felt like they weren't.
He is pretty good.
Oh, no. He's like, what's his name? He's a fantastic actor. But like, seeing them have a character who was committed to that.
Who was like comedic level
at all costs.
Because to be fair, because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier one, they actually, and I think it worked. They played as more of a dramatic character who lose it over time. Whereas Peacemaker was just like from the outset.
He already lost it years ago.
He lost it long before this film started.
That, like, as much as I love the core characters of the Suicide Squad, at least the modern ones, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark, as much as I love that, I also love that this movie, like, it was James Gunn just, because, in the first one was like, David Ayer was trying to basically include the New 52 cast, except Killer Croc instead of King Shark for some reason. For the most part. But this movie was like, James Gunn's just like, I'm gonna pull in whatever characters I want and use them because they'll be for this movie. So he's like, I'm gonna pull in Peacemaker because it'll fit for this movie. That's the character I want for this movie.
Peacemaker's so cool because normally it's people who are antagonistic on the Suicide Squad with the people who they're working for. But in Peacemaker's case, honestly,
he's fully on board.
He could have not even had a bomb in his neck, and he probably would have done exactly what they wanted.
Yeah,
I mean that's why he gets the secret assignment, isn't it?
Exactly.
I love that.
Peacemaker doesn't actually have a bomb.
Yeah.
He's just he wasn't even in.
He's probably not even in Bel Rev as a prisoner.
He came to.
He plan.
He wasn't captured. He actually came to Bel Rev of his own accord. He was like, I want it on this shit.
I need a job. Also, one thing I really liked, Bel Rev was literally like modeled off of the comic Bel Rev. It looks exactly like it does in the comic.
I will say I've got to go in a minute. So how about we do sort of like our final round of thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, so
sorry, did you want to go next?
No, you go.
Okay. So my final thing, the last thing I want to mention is there's two really good serious lines in this movie, or at least two. That there may be more, but there's two I like that stick out to me. And the first one is just what we already talked about, Starro's final, I was happy floating amongst the stars. That's a really good line, a really good moment. The second one is Rick Flag's Peacemaker, what a joke.
What a great.
God, what a good, I hate that he died. It's very sad. He was
but
so
at
good
least
in this
he
movie.
died
But he
great.
died real good.
That shot,
was
by
a
the way,
good scene.
The Peacemaker helmet shot.
That was so good.
So good.
That was such
That
a
is
cool
such a
little,
James Gunn thing
What
to
a
do.
great shot. I want to say what cool theory I've heard, and obviously this is complete speculation, but it would be pretty fun, is that they're gonna do the whole voice like Peacemaker's helmet
I hope.
talks
the
to
Nazi thing. Yeah.
No, not that though. Because
that?
you know he has the version where like the helmet traps like people's souls and the
Souls
helmet
in
speaks to
This
him.
is Peacemaker. He's got my back.
Yeah, but
I'd advise
someone
not
was
getting
like,
killed
what
by
if
him.
what if because of like the impact it clearly has on him when he dies, what if the voice in Peacemaker's helmet is just Rick Flag?
Oh,
I would
Which would
love,
be so
I would
good
love for
if
them to
they
bring
did
back
it.
Kinnaman for that.
good.
I mean,
I
don't know if they will. I don't
They
think
could,
they will,
though.
but like they
I
could,
hope.
and it would be very,
Oh,
very
that
fun.
would work so well. That'd be a really good way to continue.
Also,
that.
for my rounding off of thoughts, I want to give a shout out to another element of the film that we haven't talked about so much in terms of a cast member. Milton, not in very much. I want to say underutilized, but like he's in it as much as he needs to be. So, and like in every scene he's in, he's fantastic. Peter Capaldi as Tinker is so good.
It's just the Doctor. It's literally the Doctor.
No. It's the Doctor crossed with Malcolm F. Tucker specifically, which makes it even funnier. The line where he's like Yankee fucking Doodle. He might as well be playing.
Fucking Doodle.
He might as well. If none of you have watched The Thick of It, you really should.
I've seen
it's
it.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But like my only disappointment, I guess, is that he didn't do more overt Malcolm Tucker swear because that would be really funny. But like, he was great. Big up my man Peter Capaldi. Love him.
That was a lot of fun.
My
My
final wrap-up thought is, rats are, if they have purpose, so do we. No, this movie makes me cry. It's in my top 3 at this point for superhero movies.
Yeah, my top 3 are now Spider-Verse, Logan, and this film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In no particular order, that's my top 3.
I don't know if I'd go
In
that
particular
far.
order,
I think the pacing kind of grinds to a halt in the middle of the movie for a couple of bits. Like they have a bit with that when they're on the bus. They're like, "All right, now here's the tragic backstory part," and I'm like, "Okay."
But it works.
And then
So it worked.
Yeah,
But
it
it
works.
I mean, it works well enough. It's just but
Because she's the only one who we don't know anything about at that point.
I just realized this guy's got an Amore poster. You sad posting it on stream.
Amore is fucking awesome. Go every
E-boy.
Also, I
will play
I
it at
liked
some
the
point.
Tarantino. I liked the
It's really fun.
Tarantino title card thing that he did.
Oh yeah, that was really fun.
That was really
That
fun.
was
Like
nice.
it was split into like chapters. Somebody said
Exactly.
It was, I can't remember who, but someone on Twitter, I want to say like a comic writer or an artist or someone like that, said it was like
It's like the beginning splash.
It's like
page.
reading a
miniseries.
it's like reading a really good
miniseries.
miniseries, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much how the film is paced, which I think works very well.
All right.
Great film.
What were you gonna say, Nick?
Weasel Gang is what I was going to say. All right. So scores.
It's like a 9 out of 10.
It's
I
an
gotta-
easy
I
8.5,
gotta give it a
maybe a
9 out of
9.
10.
Easy 9 out of 10 for me.
I'd give it an 8. I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it.
More than 8. I'm gonna say 8.5 or 9. I'm still undecided.
I could be persuaded to give it an 8.5. I think there's a lot of great.
There's a lot to
stuff
love.
it. There's a lot to love, and I'm really excited to see what James Gunn does next, which is hopefully
Seasonal
more fucking
Suicide Squad
charming
movies.
I would
Yeah.
love
Also
to
that.
have the Question show up. in these
Question, please.
That's what I want more than anything in my life.
This is an important thing to tell everybody, and you should look up the images because it's adorable. David Dastmalchian adopted a stray cat that wandered into the set, and then the costume designer made it a little polka dot man costume.
Can we end on his? I will end my talking with this quote. I'm a motherfucking superhero.
And does he say motherfucking? Does he say motherfucking?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, no, he says it.
Oh, I forgot.
He says it like that.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to the Kinocast. I don't know what our next episode is, but we will make sure we do one on the Evangelion stuff, because either we can
we won't.
Either we're forcing Taylor to watch it all, or I'm just going to be talking to myself for 40 minutes. So either way, it's going to
Is that not what you usually do on a Friday?
No. Actually, that's what I want. I wanted you trying to explain Evangelion to me for 40 minutes.
Okay, sure.
That actually does sound kind of amusing. I was going to say you should do an episode on JoJo's and force him to watch it, but I also kind of want to watch Nicholas explain JoJo's to Taylor for like 40 minutes.
That
blood.
Me watching
Phantom.
Have you not seen it?
I've seen.
I'll explain.
I think we're the only JoJo fans in here.
Okay, me and Brendan will accept to explain.
That's what we're bending.
And we end it here. Awesome. All right, cool. All right, so we're done. I'm gonna stop recording. That was a lot of fun, guys.